Good evening, sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Shite Sports Talk Show. But I guess this isn't just a normal episode, is it, guys? Episode 100. We made it, boys. We made it. So as always, I'm your host, Matthew Shite, joined always by my co-host and producer, and producing that new little sound bit right there, Paul. Paul, how are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, good. And returning to the show this week, I guess he's been out for a little bit, is Anthony, the man who runs the place.
How are we doing tonight, gentlemen?
The man who runs the place.
Back.
I thought he was the face.
I guess
Yeah,
the face that runs
he
the place,
wasn't sure.
whatever.
You know, it's not a good start to the show unless he has some kind of mix-up on something that he starts with. So
I had to do something.
I'm glad to be back. Glad we could all be together for 100, which seems we've been working on now for months.
Months.
And we finally got it
stuck
together.
on like
it.
99 and 98 for like since December.
We got it together though, and we're here. So.
And joined always by Chris.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's up,
Good to be
Chris?
back.
So guys, this is it. This is the big show, big 100. I mean, congratulations, guys. I mean, Paul, thanks for sticking around for 100. Anthony, Chris, sticking around for a whole bunch of shows. I mean, especially you two for coming on, I guess, late in my episodes and joining me as my new co-host and everything. So thanks a lot, you three, especially to Paul.
Yeah, Paul's sticking it out.
This
Just like you
definitely
for 100
wouldn't be
episodes.
possible without Paul.
I'm slow clapping.
That
for you.
deserves
sure.
a slow clap for sure.
And I guess it all started when I just went down to Paul's basement, his old place, and he had all this stuff set up, and he said, "Hey, why don't you try something out?" And Paul, look what happened. Just rolled with it.
That's right. Look, here you go.
Yep.
That's a shot of the studio.
Yeah, the new studio
Hey.
from where we started in a small little room. Now look at us. Now we're big time with a big circly table. It used to be what, like a fold-out table.
Yeah, not even. It was like a little teeny tiny small little table.
Paul could barely fit in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
What's it called?
And
The,
also,
What do you call me, fat?
go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, also credit to you as well, Matt. I know you're not gonna give yourself credit, but you know, you talked about all of us being here for a bunch of little episodes, and Paul obviously being here for all 100. But you've been here as well for majority of the episodes, if not all 100 as well. So that should speak to yourself as well.
I think the one I
Mhm.
missed was that one. I was in Cincinnati for one of them, and you guys did it by yourself.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. You did. I forgot
That's
about
right.
that.
Yeah.
I knew that one. It was me and one of our
Bojo.
recurring special guest, Bojo. Yes, that's right.
And always thanks to Bojo for all the guests that we've had. Bojo, Larry
John
Ridley.
Moxie.
I mean, we had a whole bunch of guests that just come. I mean, Ridley was one of the top ones. Dwight Hitts, Super Bowl champ was. So we've had a bunch of
Who was the
awesome guests.
Who was the
You had the Madden champion
the
too.
Madden champ? Yeah, that guy.
I can't believe I'm blanking out on his name right
Skimbo, right?
now. Yeah, no, it wasn't Skimbo's
No,
the
it wasn't
recent one.
Skimbo.
He played
Stiff,
it. Okay.
stiff.
That's
Stiff.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Skimbo was the most recent champ. Okay.
Yeah, Skimbo is not the
Sorry
recent
about
champ
that.
now. The new champ now is young Kev won the big Madden thing this year. It was like almost over six figures, but there's a guy from
Damn.
DC was in the final, 19 years old. His name was like Young Dreeny. He's 19 years old.
From DC?
He's from DC.
Wow.
Doesn't rep the Redskins though, which is, I mean, I wouldn't blame him. Who wants to rep that team?
Oh, okay. We can end this episode right now if you want.
Real
it,
quick,
Paul,
just
do it.
before we get to football, let's just talk one real quick NFL news. Jameis Winston just announced that he will be suspended for first 3 games for groping a Uber driver.
Guy can't get out of his own way, man.
The only
thought
thing I'm hoping is
crap,
that
but-
at least she hopefully looked decent and he just wasn't just drunk and had beer goggles on.
I don't think it's right in any
That doesn't-
situation.
It's
Let's
not.
condone it.
I
Yeah,
mean, you
let's
gotta
not-
be.
let's
I
not
hope he
condone
was at least drunk and not in his right state of mind to grope a damn Uber driver. Like, you got some issues.
Yeah,
Like, the
that
woman's
still doesn't
driving
really
you somewhere.
excuse
Be
it,
happy.
Yeah.
And why is
Don't-
he using
just don't-
Uber anyway? He should have like the
Just
money to be able
don't.
to
Hey,
afford it.
first of all, that doesn't matter. Money doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
Just don't do it. Period. That's what it. That's what it
But
comes
I'm
down.
just saying,
to.
why is he having Uber? He doesn't have like a personal driver or something.
I mean,
I mean,
maybe
make
he
it
doesn't want to do that.
bank.
I mean, just because they're celebrities doesn't mean they can't use Uber.
I guess he's an idiot anyway. I mean, first it was Crab. I mean, that kid is just.
I told you, unfortunately he gets in his own way, man.
As of
And
right now, out of those
hopefully
two
he figures it out.
quarterbacks, right now it's Mariota's looking like he's ahead of the pack right now in terms of those two.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
have to
let's
agree.
get to football, and I guess we could say, Chris, we had a pretty big game today that kind of went down 3-0.
Yeah, that was a
Messy.
really interesting game. arguably the best player in the world, and his
Not
country team just
Not
completely
right.
fell flat on their
It's-
face today.
I think this World
So-
Cup has proven that Ronaldo's the best in the world.
I wouldn't say that just because of that, he's the best player in the world, but,
Past
it,
couple
it
years, he's been the
definitely
best in the world.
it definitely heavily favors Ronaldo right
He's
now.
starting to take the lead in that category. He's starting to slowly branch out from Messi, especially international wise. It's Ronaldo by far, because Messi, obviously, yeah, he's been to finals and stuff, but he hasn't won.
They just haven't won.
The big
I get it. Yeah.
Ronaldo won Euro 2 years ago. Messi had a chance to win Copa, shot the damn thing to the moon. Had a penalty kick last week, missed another one, and now he's facing.
They've made it to the finals of the World Cup and lost to Germany.
I mean,
So,
I hate to put this on, but I think Argentina's done.
I honestly think this is it for them
Because
as well.
even if
Because Messi's not
Nigeria-
playing again in four years.
Well, obviously, they're not, I mean, if Nigeria wins, Argentina would have to win their last game. If Nigeria wins, it comes down to those two. But if Iceland wins tomorrow, that's it.
But
It's over.
But the fact is, this is a team that should have easily won
This group.
their group. I mean, and right now they're fighting for their lives and they need help. It's not like they win and they're in. They need help. So, this is definitely something that I don't think anyone saw.
No, I picked them
or-
to win the group.
Yeah, I definitely picked them to win the group. Now, I saw in the qualifications that obviously they weren't the team that we remember in the finals last time, but you definitely don't expect them to get eliminated first round. You definitely expect them at least to get out of the group stages and make some type of competitive, match out of the first and second round. But,
And at very least, you think they have a win already in the first two games. You don't think that they only have a point from a tie so far. I mean, that's
They
the
should
other
And
big
have
Iceland
shocking
tied
moment.
them. Good. You know what? Iceland, still the Cinderella story. Still shows that they belong with these top teams right now.
yeah, I mean,
I'm-
they definitely. I think it's more of a testament of how bad Argentina's doing more than how well Iceland played. Because Iceland,
I'll agree with that.
had 11 people behind the ball, and Argentina just couldn't figure out a way to get past them, and they should have, especially with, again, arguably the best player in the world.
If I'm Iceland
one
against
thing-
Nigeria tomorrow, I put the bus on.
Yeah, you park
all
the
you
bus.
need is
I
all
mean,
Iceland needs is one goal, then you put the bus. Just like
Mhm.
what they have in
Yep.
the FIFA when you go all the way over on defense. Park the bus.
Park the bus.
But
I was
of-
gonna say, go ahead.
I was just say, as of right now, we know that Russia and Uruguay have both already advanced, and France,
Yep.
as the other team, have already advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a couple, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, and Peru have all officially already been eliminated, from
right.
things. So, tell you
Yeah.
what, has Iran surprised you a little bit as being in contention right now to maybe advance? Were you surprised about the way they played against Spain? How about that?
Not necessarily. I think they were also kind of a team that just kind of they snuck out a win against Morocco, and then they, pretty much parked the bus against Spain, and then Spain got lucky.
good. I wasn't that Morocco had some chances against Portugal, and I think Iran had some chances against Spain. So Portugal, all it takes is for
They were
Iran
mainly
to,
playing a counterattack. I mean, they put all their eggs in the counterattack, and it happened to didn't happen to work out for them. But they definitely looked competitive, especially on the counter. But other than that,
So I think the third game to watch out for when we come back around will be Russia and Uruguay. I mean, sits both up there already advanced. I mean, that game will be for first or whatever. But right now, if they tie, because that Russia 5-0, I mean, they got +7 goal differential, and
I
as I
was gonna
said
say,
in my
really,
World
Yep.
Cup preview last week, goal differential is huge, and winning 5-0 definitely puts you ahead of the pack.
yeah. I mean, right now they technically are the strongest team. 2 wins and a +7 goal differential. It's more than any other team right now. I mean, obviously we still have a few more games or a bunch of games still, but right now they're sitting pretty. They're
And
sitting pretty.
Let's go back to some weekend action because I didn't get a chance to talk about that. The big upset for the weekend. Actually, I think there were 3 upsets on the weekend. You have Mexico over Germany is definitely an upset that no one saw coming. Japan over Colombia and Senegal over Poland are all upsets. And actually, the guy for Colombia who got the red card for the handball, who was thrown out within the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, death threats against him already.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah.
you know this probably firsthand, being South American. If F up in soccer in South America, you better leave the country. They gonna kill you. I think where was that goalie from? He was from a country that allowed an own goal, and I think he was killed like a week. I think it was Colombia.
Just like Morocco did.
Was killed?
There was a goalie. I don't know if it was a World Cup goalie or a club team. He allowed a winning goal, and he was dead within like a week or something. They killed him.
Wow.
I will say that they definitely do not mess around. They love them some soccer, and
they kill refs for calls.
Bit fanatic about it.
But let's go with Germany.
Yeah.
That was the big upset, and this is my problem I had with Germany. Chris, you know, I'm a big German soccer fanatic. You know, I have like 10 jerseys. This is my problem with Germany is they tried too many crosses. I felt like you have Kroos, you have Mueller, you have guys with legs, and they just weren't taking those 20, 15-yard shots that we're used to seeing Germany taking and putting it right past the goalie. Chris, you know from watching La Liga, Kroos has a damn leg on him.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't taking shots. They were just trying too many crosses, and I feel like in their next game against Sweden, they need to start making the goalie work more outside the box.
Yeah, I think they were definitely playing more horizontally than they were vertically.
And they normally don't do
And
that.
I think, right, Germany's definitely a team that goes at you hard and goes at you directly. And I didn't see them playing that way against Mexico. And you know, Mexico took advantage. They took their opportunity, and you know, they got the goal and ran with it.
All right, so that's pretty much all we could do right now for the World Cup. Some big games coming up. You know, Brazil, Costa Rica, the Nigeria-Iceland game tomorrow is a pretty big game on who takes the leverage in that group. Then we get the
Apparently
Saturday.
Neymar is healthy, FYI.
Yeah.
You know, there was injury scares earlier on in the week, and you know, he practiced for all of 15 minutes, and then they took him off, and
Well, he was fouled. I don't know if you two saw this 10 times, a record 10 times in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Switzerland just went after him. And you know what? It's a strategy, man.
It's a strategy.
That's a strategy. You go after the best player.
It's unfortunately that's the nature of the game, and you know, you hope that the players that are intentionally fouling, at least
it's like
aggressively
in the NBA,
get
when
carded.
When you purposely hack a guy, you know they can't shoot free throws.
Yeah,
and,
the Shaq hack-a-Shack.
Yeah,
What's
and
it
then
called?
it was last year. It was someone else, and then NFL. You know, if you know someone has a history of ACL, sometimes you may go with
Right
a
at
low
the knees,
tackle.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just nature of the game. It just happens. So, you know, we have
Any
that.
type of competitive advantage you can get.
Saturday, Germany, Sweden is a huge game. And then Sunday, I think Japan, Senegal, both of those teams are up. And then Poland, Colombia, you know, both have lost. So we'll look for that as we keep going. So I'm sure we'll have more to discuss next week. So right now we're going to jump, since me and Chris took the lead on. Actually, you know, before we do that, before we get to the drafts, I think we have a big thing to talk about. And that's,
What would that be?
there was a damn parade in D.C.
There was a parade in
We
DC.
had a parade.
There certainly was.
There was a parade.
I kind of
And-
called out of work to go to it, and I just couldn't. I had so much stuff I had to deal with my car being totaled. I just couldn't do it.
Okay, well let's not
Couldn't
get
do it.
sad about your car real quick. Let's stay positive. And Anthony knows the power of positivity will set you free.
That's right.
And it was awesome. Capitals won the Stanley Cup. They went, 4-1? Just mowed down I mean, it just looked like even game one. You could say the Capitals probably should have swept them if it wasn't for that blown call. I think in game one, that goal where what's his face shoved M out of the area and got the goal. But the Capitals just dominated Vegas, especially after having so many like overtime games. You know, the first three series, but they just rolled through Vegas. Ovi MVP, deserved it. So happy for that guy. He was drunk for about a straight week, which was awesome.
He might
to
still be
watch.
drunk.
He might still be. I'm sure Anthony. I'm sure you saw all the videos how awesome it was.
Yeah.
I think Anthony, even
Yeah.
you can agree. Even though you're a Devils fan, no one deserved the Stanley Cup more in his career probably than Ovi. I think.
I think it's not even that he deserved it. I think he needed it. I think
Yeah.
this was really something he needed to stamp finally that he is one of the all-time greats. I mean, with that looming, I think that really was going to affect him. You know, when it comes to Hall of Fame voting, when it comes to like who the greatest of all time is, that's definitely something that was going to loom. And I think now that that's off his head, now it becomes not necessarily can he do it again? Is how long is this window open? How many more can they win? Can they make this team a dynasty now? Because not to discount Vegas either, because I know you were saying they dominated them. No one had Vegas in this conversation. When this team was brought apart, last year when we were going into the expansion draft, everyone's like, oh, they'll be lucky if they finish, second to last in the whole entire West. They're not going to do anything. This team defied odds. And just here alone on this podcast, we all picked them. Hey, they'll go to the Western Conference Finals, but there's no way they pass Nashville, or there's no way they pass Winnipeg.
Nashville lost.
They went out there. Yep, Nashville didn't make it. They passed Winnipeg. I mean, this was just a really special team. And I think at the end of the day, they just realized that the Capitals wanted this much more. They were hungrier. They've been waiting to do this for God knows how long. I mean, you can't even count the amount of years that they've had the team every year. Like, this is the team to beat. And then don't want to say they crapped the bed, but the team would crap the bed in the playoffs. And they finally came out and they said, we don't care what team we're playing, we're going to win. And I think they finally showed up and showed out, and they showed why this is a team that was talked about every single year. They're in the President's Trophy for the best record. They're always talked. If they're not there, they're right behind it.
Right.
And why they're always talked about as a favorite in the East. And I think all this did now was just make them be an even more scary team for the next couple of years, because now they got that win out of the way. And sometimes that's all it takes to just get that first win. And who knows? I mean, now they just got to keep some of the players together. I know they got Carlson coming up on free agency. They're not big on trying to.
Jay Beadle.
Yeah, but that's a big-time defenseman. John Carlson's going to be big on the free agency if the Capitals don't make a move for him. So that's going to be something to watch. And obviously, the big news besides they win, and then Trotz resigns, and now he's with the Islanders.
$4 million a year.
He got
something the Capitals.
He got the money he wanted. The Capitals didn't want to give him the money. And you know what? I can understand both sides of it. Trotz won the cup finally, but the Capitals probably also said, you've had this team for how long and you finally just won. So, I mean, I could see both sides. So I think it was probably best for him to move on, and we'll see where the Capitals go from here. But I definitely think the talent's there, obviously, to repeat. And it's nice to see a team finally win after so long. I know for you guys personally,
and so many
Paul,
demons.
It was great for the city. So
many demons. You get past Pittsburgh and you're like, okay, cool. We got one demon done, and then you go down 3-2 against Tampa Bay. You fight back. You smoke them in their Game 7, their own place, and then you get to Vegas, and people are like, "Oh, okay, it's an expansion team." You don't people outside of DC and especially Pittsburgh. You see who the goalie is, and you're like, "Shit, here's another demon. We could never beat this guy when he was with Pittsburgh." And they just trashed him. Like, I feel like and he was playing good, and then it just all of a sudden he got to the Stanley Cup, and it was just like a different guy from what he was in the Western playoffs. It was a completely different goalie. And then the one man who was a DSP or whatever for the Capitals just...
Oh, Devontae Smith-Pelly,
yeah.
All I want to say is, they brought Jay Williams in last year, Jace whatever, and he was Mr. Game 7. But tell you what, Mr. Game playoffs.
Justin Williams.
Playoffs, 100%.
Justin Williams. This other guy they brought him in. He had experience, and the goals that he made night out to just put us ahead, tie the game, was just incredible. Also, the young kid from Sweden, or Denmark, I think, starts with a V. I can't think of his name right now. Vrana, yeah, the game-winning goal in Game 5. I mean, he played his ass off. Kuzi, the most points, I believe, in the playoffs. I mean, that's the thing. Kuzi also had an argument to win the MVP for the playoffs, but I think there was no way Ovi was not.
There's no way,
that.
Yeah, I think he had the second or fourth most ever in the history.
Being benched for the first 2 games of the playoffs, and then what he did on the runs were just incredible, especially shutting out Tampa Bay back-to-back games to win the Eastern Conference Finals.
Exactly.
You had 3 players on the Capitals could have won that MVP. Paul, what were you going to say?
So did you just say that? I thought Ovi had the most goals.
He had the most goals.
He had the most
Kuzi
goals.
had the most points, assists, and goals put together.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's funny, I was reading, and they were putting all the pictures of Ovi doing the. By the way, after he did that one cage stand, you could tell he was drunk. Like, he was just going bringing up. I saw people, especially, some of them had class, some of them were douchey. Some of the douchey Pittsburgh fans were like, "Oh, Crosby never disrespected the cup." Like, you know what? Shut up, okay?
Look, man,
we beat you. The guy's been waiting for this, and I tell you what, I've never seen a team. Maybe because we're not in those areas, but I've never seen a team party so much like this with a Stanley Cup or any kind of championship. Or maybe it's just me, but I've never seen a team do this mainstream media.
You probably saw more because you're there in the area. I mean, but when a team wins a championship, it's big, man.
A lot
every
more
city.
on Bleacher, Sports Illustrated. I never really seen a lot of teams on those websites get as much as what the Capitals did. It's probably because this was the most I've seen a team interact with the fans. Like, they were going out to bars. I mean, that stadium, they were supposed to leave after the first pitch, and they're still up in the suites. And when they show them, they're freaking like 20 Bud Light cans just spread out all over the place. They're swimming in the fountains.
They're having a good time, man.
Getting tattoos.
They definitely celebrate. They waited long enough. They worked hard enough.
TJ Oshie's chugging a beer through his jersey somehow.
But I'll tell you,
Yeah.
as many unfortunate letdowns as they had coming up to, leading up to this Stanley Cup championship, like how close they've gotten in the past, everything like that.
Hopefully the DC sports curse is broken.
That's why they're going crazy.
Hopefully now the Nationals can take that step and get past it.
I mean, for as many years as I can recall, it's been Stanley Cup or bust. I mean, if you don't get that Stanley Cup, this team is a failure.
Look at the Nationals the past 2 years. It's been World Series or bust, and they bust out of the first round of the playoffs every damn year. It's retarded. All right,
and I think what did it was the fact that we, like you said, there was two demons that you said there was demons that we had to go get past, and I think it was not only was it just the Pittsburgh Penguins, but just getting out of that second round. The fact that we could do both at the same time, I think after that, I think there was no stopping the Capitals. I mean, the Lightning was a better team on paper. I think we all agreed.
Oh, yeah. Anthony said at the trade deadline, he said, this is the team that's going to win the Stanley Cup. And I think, Anthony, I quoted you. As soon as they made that trade, Anthony texted me and he said, Tampa Bay is winning the Stanley Cup no matter what. They just made that trade. That's the done deal.
Tampa made the moves to win that, and I think that's what
Capitals
speaks
made no
right
moves.
there alone. Yeah,
this wasn't supposed to be a
Capitals
year. This is supposed to be, okay, you make the playoffs. That's what this year, what a lot of experts, that's what's crazy is this wasn't supposed to be the Capitals. It was supposed to be, okay, they had pieces. They'll make the playoffs. Maybe we'll get past the first round. That's what everyone's expectation was the beginning of the year was they'll make the playoffs and that's it. This wasn't a championship winning team, and it was.
But that's what makes the difference is because there was no lofty goals for this team. There wasn't this is the team to beat. This is the team you're going to go through. Everyone said, myself included, and Chris, you saw him agree. Yep. Everyone thought Tampa was the team to go through on both sides. It was the Lightning.
Or the Predators.
It was the Lightning. It was the Lightning with the team to beat.
Yeah.
On the East. And even on the West, they were saying the Lightning probably could do it all. And then if you go to the West, you talk about the Predators, you talk about Winnipeg. But when you look at what the Lightning did throughout the regular season and even in the playoffs, they were dismantling teams. They started with the Devils. I watched them closely. But that's the thing is that the Capitals went the hardest route to the finals. They had to beat the Penguins. They had to beat the Lightning. Then they went to Vegas, and I think that's what ultimately showed the difference is everyone said, oh, Vegas is an expansive team. This is their easiest thing. But Vegas thought of it as this is the team that we're playing against. This is the toughest team out there. This is how the Capitals thought about Vegas was the Capitals said, this is the toughest team out there. We're going to go out there and play them like this is the best team that there is in NHL right now. And I think that's where they had Vegas beat because I think Vegas kind of just went in there like, the Capitals, we were expecting, another team like the Lightning that was the powerhouse. And I think they underestimated what the Capitals were capable of. And the Capitals should have shown them throughout the whole playoffs that this was no team to joke around with. And rightfully so, they did it.
And it may be one of those things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
No, go ahead. You're good. No,
I was just going to say, kind of speaking to that, the Knights weren't expecting to get there. They kind of, as an expansion team, like everyone's been saying, they weren't expected to even make the playoffs. So at this point, no matter how they finish the season, it's a win. I mean, and some people had already mentioned that. I think Vegas said they're going to throw a parade anyway. Regardless, and this was before we had won the Stanley Cup. They said no matter what happens, Vegas is still going to get a parade. And so they were already in that mental stage where they had already won. Regardless of the outcome, they already won. They showed that this is a team to be reckoned with in the future, and whether they got past the first round, second round, even just making the Stanley Cup was already a win. So at that point, maybe they kind of didn't give it their 110% like the Capitals did because the Capitals were in this to win it. As soon as they got past the second round, as soon as they got past the Penguins, they said, there's no one who's going to stop us at this point. So I really think maybe there was also a difference in their mentality. The Capitals were not going to be stopped, and Vegas might have already said we won. No matter what happens, we're already winners. So that could have factored into it.
All right, so let's jump. We'll stay in the NHL. We'll jump over. Anthony, I'm going to let you take a hold of this because I don't know if me and Chris are even keeping up with this. Will be the NHL
I was going to say, I don't know much about the draft. I was just going to kind of plug it in. The Capitals, obviously. It's got to be nice too. You want an early first round pick, but you got the last pick, which means that you're the defending
Hey,
Fine with
champions.
me.
We'll take that.
So,
I'll take that every year.
Yep.
what do you guys think you need? You think you need forwards? You think you need defensemen? Where would you go?
Well,
I
if we lose
think-
Carlson, we're gonna need. If we lose John Carlson, we're gonna need a defenseman, I think. And if we lose Beadle somehow, we're gonna need, third line center. So I think it all depends on who stays and who goes. And that's one thing about the NFL, I think, which is better than other sports, is by the draft who you're gonna have in free agency, who you don't. The NBA right now, you're picking, and then you're, like the NBA draft is tonight, but you don't know who you're gonna lose in free agency or who you can get. So you're just picking prediction. When's the NHL draft?
It's Saturday. Sorry, Friday. Tomorrow. It's the day
that's
after.
another thing where you're picking based off of what could happen. I think that's where the NFL may be a little bit better is they wait until free agency and then you can see what you need. So I think maybe the NBA and the NHL can start looking like that. But right now, I mean, we're on the thing where, okay, we could lose Carlson, so we need defensemen. But then you draft a defenseman, then Carlson stays. NBA for like the Cavs tonight. They're probably like, oh shit, do we have to draft a shooting forward to replace LeBron? Is he leaving? I mean, I guess I don't know if you two could agree with that, but it seems like for draft wise, the NFL is in the best position because free agency is done and you still know what you need.
Yeah. I
Like-
think
No, I
that
agree
kind of
with you.
adds to it, though, too. It also kind of gives it a different take than it just being the traditional route.
Like
I
the
get
Broncos.
what you're saying.
Like the Broncos, they were mocked forever taking a quarterback. They signed Case and Keenum, and then they go with Nick Chubb. It's like, okay, cool. We don't need a first-round quarterback. We just signed Keenum. Same
I
thing
also think they went with Chubb because no one expected Chubb to
Yeah,
go to
best-
5.
best
I think
player, but I
everyone.
feel like-
100%.
I feel like that plays
unbelievable
also a
pass
lot though
rusher.
in the NBA, in the NFL though. We got this guy in free agency. We can hold off maybe a second or third round. I don't know. It's just me. I just think the NHL and the NBA draft is it's more as okay. This is what we need now in case free agency doesn't work out.
Well, do you think maybe the Capitals try to move up in the first round, or you think they're going to stand pat at 31 and just kind of go?
Stand pat.
Okay.
But I think regardless of free agency, I think the first piece of the puzzle that we need to, other than getting a coach, that we need to address, I think, is our defense. I think offense has never been an issue for us for the past 5-6
We're gonna
years.
replace Carlson for sure.
I think defense obviously is always first, at least in DC. It's never been an issue for us scoring 5-6 goals a game. It's limiting the other team from scoring 3 goals when we only score 2. I think that goal difference, goals allowed, is such a key piece to the puzzle because the last series, the Stanley Cup series, it literally came down to I think an average of 4-3 or 3-2. I can't remember what the exact, but it was a 1-goal average differential up until the last game, of course, where we kind of blew them out. But it was a 1-goal game essentially on average every single game. So I think defense is really important for our team right now.
I'd agree.
Yep. So I guess we
What
pretty
you
much
want
talked. What about the Devils? What do you think the Devils need?
Devils are in a. I would go forward if I was well, it all depends too. I think that's going to be free agency. Obviously, like you said, that's where it kind of is tricky because the Devils definitely need more presence on the defensive side. But I don't think they're going to pass up a scoring winger if they can get one in the middle of the first round. If you can get a guy that can contribute right away, so it's going to be one of those things we'll have to wait and see because you see already. Devils went from the first pick last year, how one player, one draft class to make a huge difference. They went from the first pick to the playoffs. Yes, they got eliminated in the first round, but they went from one of the worst teams to in the playoffs. So let's see what they do this year. What another draft class?
What's Jesus?
Paul just like. Can you hear them? Yeah, I can hear them. All right, so congrats
get a little
to Taylor,
shot there.
congrats to Hall for winning MVP.
Yes,
of the
congrats to
league.
Taylor Hall. That's right, the first ever New Jersey Devil to win the Hart Memorial Trophy.
And like I tested you,
Beautiful.
I understand Ovi wasn't going to win, but being 10th or 9th in the voting, I think he got shafted a little bit. That's a little low.
There was a lot of people that were definitely in the conversation that should have been up there. So it's tough. It's definitely tough.
Are the Wizards really going to miss this guy by 1 pick? That would suck.
Who?
Michael Porter Jr., yeah.
They said the Nuggets really like him, so we'll see. But
We can hope.
Do we
Maybe
want it?
won't. Oh,
what about the
Denver
draft?
Nuggets
Been a
have
couple
selected.
of trades so far. Did
Yeah,
they
that
take
big
Michael
one in the
Porter?
beginning for Trae Young going to Dallas.
Yeah, it was a big trade. And then there was a trade just for 11 and 12. The Clippers have 12 and 13. They traded Miles Bridge, who they took at 12, to the Hornets for their 11th pick.
I hate the way
and
they put that too. They're
and
like
two
has
second-round
traded
picks
the
as well.
away. I hate how they just word it. It's like almost like you're just like trading like get out of here. I don't want you. I drafted you just to trade you. It's like the
That's sometimes how it
Eli
works.
Phillip Rivers situation.
Well, that was because Eli said I won't play here. So I mean, that was on them. They kind of messed. I mean, it worked out for them. They got a lot of draft picks in the process. So I mean, but he said he wouldn't play. So it's a
All right, let's shift
like
another
that.
sports gear, and we'll talk some baseball. Let's talk about first the Nats. I want to bring some situation up to you guys real quick. So right now, Bryce Harper pooping the bed in a contract year. And when I mean pooping the bed, I mean he's really losing. Do you think he's losing money, guys, this year?
yes. Yeah, so instead of $40 million, he'll get $37 a year.
Right.
His average is down to
Someone's-
209. It's 209 now. He hasn't hit a home run in I don't know how so many games. I mean, it's a horrible contract year. But do you think for the Nationals, with the emergence of Juan Soto, you already have Adam Eaton, Michael Taylor, Michael Taylor's average 2 weeks ago was 180. He's brought it up to 243 now, leading the league in steals. You have Brian Goodwin. You have Victor Robles, a top 3 prospect. Do you think the Nationals right now in a
I'm going to
position
stop you.
where
Don't even make this. Those 5 guys you just named, offensively, when he's on, do not give the same
I'm
input
not.
that Bryce
Can I
Harper would
finish
give.
what I was going to say?
I know what you're going to say. Is it okay to let him go?
Okay, but here's my thing. Here's a little thing I've been talking around with my guys. I heard it on the radio. Not my guys. One of my buddies. I heard on the radio. He's a guy on the radio who talked about it. My friend at work, Brad, former co-host here, me and him mentioned it. What if the Nats let Harper walk? So you save, what, 300, 400 million?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Possibly,
yeah.
Okay.
I've said possibly. I wasn't
You re-sign
jumping
Daniel
you in
Murphy.
on that one. Yeah, you're good.
So you use some of that money to re-sign Daniel Murphy. Zimmerman injuries I think now are taking the toll, so you don't know he can probably do I think last year was the most you're going to get out of him anymore. You move Murphy to first base because he's played there and he's been playing there. You move Turner to second base, and you go out and you sign Manny Machado to replace Bryce Harper in the lineup. What would you think about that, and how do you think that would shake?
How much is Machado going to cost?
Probably about the same, probably a little bit under what Harper would make.
So you're not saving.
No, you are. I don't think Machado's going to make as much
What's
as Harper.
the ages? What's the ages?
Between those two? I can actually look for you right now.
Yeah. Harper's what, 25?
Harper
is he 25?
I think he's 24. Stupid.
That's what I was going to say. I think he's only 24.
Harper, born in 92. What is that right now? 24.
But 25. He's 25. No, he's 25. He'll be 26 this year, or
Yeah.
he already turned 26. It's 2018.
So Machado, luckily they're playing, so it's easy just to look. Where the hell is Machado at? Machado, who's batting 304 this year. Machado was born in. Oh, they're the same age.
Okay, so that's good. Here's the thing, man. I don't think that you can discount Harper walking because he's having a rough time right now. If he wasn't on your team in the past years, you guys wouldn't even be in discussion to be talked about in the NL East.
True,
That's
I'm saying if you can get Machado for $100 million, let's say less, would you do it?
I don't think I would. Even me being a money saver kind of guy, I feel like there's too much potential with Harper versus Machado. Because
I'd agree.
you're saying right now he's batting what, 209 or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
How many games are left?
He can only maybe bring it up to 250.
What about when you were talking about? No, he could bring it over 250. There's still
280,
like
British-
280 maybe the
he
main.
could bring it to over 300 if he hits. Yes, he could if he hits
He's gonna
really
hit
well.
like
Yeah,
3
he
for
definitely
4
could.
for like the next month.
I mean, it's like if he goes 20 games where he's on some kind of streak, I mean, that's going to up it real quick. It's still early in the season. And wasn't this the same guy that you were like, oh, look at his start that Harper had? But didn't he have like a humongous start to the season?
I'm saying I'm throwing out options if they don't re-sign him is what I was doing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that you let him walk.
It's
If
an
it gets-
option. Of course it's
Yeah.
an option. But I don't think it's the
but
right
then,
option.
okay, so Harper, okay.
You need an outfielder to replace him. That's the thing. I don't think the guys you have there right now are going to fit that kind. And I don't think Machado fits the production either, just by himself, because you're going to lose more people.
Do you think
if that's the
Soto will
case you're
keep up
thinking.
these numbers all the year, or do you think he'll eventually?
It's hard to tell. He's young, so I mean, there's
That's
a chance.
crazy what
obviously.
he's doing though at 19 years. He's already in the talks for Rookie of the Year. I think right now he's second in voting. But the picture, the video I sent you guys. I mean, that home run, man, that was the longest home run I think I've ever seen at that ballpark.
Yeah, there's definitely
just-
talent. There's definitely
It's
talent.
one
on the team.
home run.
I think now with Soto doing that, it's so hard to.
True.
I mean, it's not just one. He's been doing it. It's almost hard to. You have Eaton coming back in Harper. God, and it's almost like what do you do with Michael Taylor, who's been knocking off the ball pretty good lately. So I mean, which isn't a bad thing to have when you're a baseball team on who to play. I mean, it's probably not a bad situation to be in.
I think for me, you got to look at the entire body of work, not just what's going on right now.
Okay, well, we'll see.
And honestly, I don't trust Michael
Soto
Taylor.
In 2 months. How about that?
Okay.
Now,
fine.
Anthony, since you're also an NL East guy, do you think the Braves or the Phillies are going to eventually fall off?
I think the Nationals are going to win the division. I don't know
if youth
necessarily
will catch up to the Braves. They're youth. They're young.
It's hard. It's hard to really decide that because it's like I said, it's so early. That's why think about it. When I remember we were on episodes before, the Mets started at 12. Oh, the Mets! Can you believe this? I'm like, it's only 14 games, 15 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I believe it. And now look at them. They're 10 games under 500. They have the best pitcher in baseball with a 1.51 ERA. In his last 12 starts, they've won 3 games he played. So anything could happen in a 20-game stretch. The Nationals have the talent and proven that they can do this. So I have a feeling that they're going to become first again. Whether the Braves or the Phillies completely fall off, I don't know. I definitely think they're not going to play at the rate they're playing right now all season, though. That right. I will say that.
My last question is, obviously, AL, do you think Scherzer is a contender for MVP of the league? I mean, not the league of the NL.
Cy Young, yes. MVP, no.
How many pitchers can do a pitch hit?
I'm just saying, I understand that, but I just told you already, DeGrom has a better ERA than him, so that's already a guy that has a better, and he's on a losing team. You know what I mean? Like, there's other stuff. He might have more wins, but he has other stats too. So it's like, if he was number one in everything, absolutely.
Who's the best? Do you think DeGrom, in terms of pitching wise, do you think Scherzer's the best pitcher in baseball?
I would say Scherzer is one of the best.
Do you think he's fine? Do you think he's beaten? Do you think he's better than Kershaw right now?
Right. This season, yes.
I think Scherzer's the best in baseball. Like I said, I think Scherzer right now is showing that he is the best in baseball, and I think he's past Kershaw, like you said, this season as being the best pitcher. The big difference between Scherzer and Kershaw, and Anthony, you can agree because you've seen, Kershaw is in the NL. Kershaw can't stay healthy for a full season. Has he ever? Yeah. I think the only time, when he's won the Cy Young, he's had a healthy season. But what is it? The past 3 to 4 years, he's been missing a month at a time.
He's missed some time. I don't know the exact amount, but he's definitely been missing some time. But yeah, I agree with Scherzer is one of the. I've always thought he's one of the best. It's just hard for me to ever say like this guy is better than him because Kershaw has some stuff too where he throws some filthy stuff and you're like, ugh. Like you just know that this is why this guy's always discussed as one of the best pitchers. But it's hard. That's one of those things where I would go either or. That Scherzer or Kershaw is the best, but you're not going to go wrong either way to me.
Mm-hmm. All right, so show's winding down. Let's talk some UFC. 2 weeks ago, CM Punk was in probably his last fight in UFC. He went the distance, 3 rounds. I don't know. Did you two were you two able to see any of the fight at all or anything?
I didn't.
I watched some of it.
I think I would give CM Punk the first round, to be honest with you.
I'd give him the first round, and then he looked like he was just out on his feet. Yeah, I think it was more of the guy that he fought wasn't very good either. So
I understand. Well, he got released by UFC because Dana White said you should have not. You should have been able to not that. He got released actually. He won the fight and got released.
Even after the win.
because if you watched it and watched the whole fight, he could have knocked out CM Punk whenever he wanted to in the second and third round. He was playing with him and you could see it. So that probably pissed off Dana White a little bit. That's like
right.
If you can't finish a guy, what am I supposed to do? But during the fight. And I understand, he's right about it. CM Punk probably didn't deserve to be in there. But Joe Rogan, I felt like he was really unprofessional during the fight because all he did was just bag on CM Punk the entire fight. Didn't really call the fight. The other guys were calling the fight. All he did was just trash CM Punk. And I understand, CM Punk, like I said, he probably should have been on, the free card beforehand, not the main card. But I feel like it's unprofessional to bag on someone the entire fight. I think it's just total being an asshole. But that's just
I can't disagree with you.
I don't know how. What?
I can't disagree with you. Is what I'm saying. I didn't hear the actual commentary, but yeah, that doesn't sound professional to me.
The whole fight, he's like, doesn't belong in there. CM Punk shouldn't be in there. I don't know why he's in there. Like, dude, we get it. After the first time you said he doesn't belong in there. But for 3 rounds, you have to keep saying this guy sucks. He doesn't belong. His techniques are horrible. Like, all right, we get it, dude. You don't need to bag on the guy for 3 rounds. It's it's unprofessional. You don't see anyone else doing that.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that no matter whether your personal beliefs on, someone when you're an announcer, you're supposed to be, impartial. You should
And he
just
wasn't.
call it and just call it how it was, and that's it. And he multiple times bagged on him before the fight. They both don't like each other. It's known. And even after the fight, he kind of like pushed Punk out of the way when he was giving like Jackson a hug, and he's like, "I'll get to you in a second." And Punk left the cage, and I can't really knock him for that.
Can't blame him for that. No.
Yeah, like you're gonna disrespect him like on national TV, then yeah, that's it. Like he was gonna sit there, he probably would have talked to him, and that would have been it. But
Yeah,
I just think it came down. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just came down to Jackson, like you said. Jackson was better in the fight. I don't want to say he's a better fighter because I don't think he really was there either. I think he was there to give CM Punk a chance. That was what the whole purpose was.
Dana didn't like that. Dana wanted him. Said he should have finished the fight.
He
and
should have.
He got released.
He's a Golden Gloves. He's a Golden Gloves boxer too. Before he was a UFC fighter. So I mean, it's not like he didn't have background somewhere. So they were pretty much up the whole match. Punk tried to take him down once or twice and got him down. Because he was like, I can't obviously go on my feet the whole fight because obviously this guy has quicker hands than me. But Punk's Joe Rogan was right in what he said. His technique was bad. He shouldn't be there. But you give the guy respect. He went out there and tried. But this is it. After the first fight, he put him in the first fight against Mickey Gall. Is it Gall or Gall? I always say it. I always forget. Who was a great fighter. You knew that. He was 24 years old. People knew he was going to be good. So you put him against Punk, and you knew Punk had no chance. Like, that wasn't the fight he should have had. This fight against Jackson should have been like Punk's first fight. And then it would have been like, hey, this was a guy that's not that good. You need to build. And unfortunately, you see it on the second fight against a guy that was, less talented than what he faced in his first one. He still just doesn't have it. He had the heart. You give him respect. He went out in front of his hometown and tried, but it's just not for him.
He got the biggest pop the whole night, which was awesome for him. Good for him.
Of course, it's his hometown.
This was a smart move by UFC to put him in there. Yeah. All I'm saying is Punk needs to be all in coming up in a couple months. He needs to be all in.
The thing is, this isn't wrestling anymore. I think CM Punk's awesome. Like I said, I give him respect, but
he needs to go back to what he's.
This isn't about. That's not when you go into UFC. It doesn't matter how many people cheer you or how many people boo you. It matters. It matters who wins.
I'm just saying it was awesome that he got the fight in his hometown.
And I think that's why they did it. Yeah. And that was it. And that's it. The business, like you said, the business side of it, box office wise, is going to be huge amounts of money because it's his hometown. People are fans of him, whether they watch him in UFC or not. People that don't watch UFC casually went to watch it because they wanted to see CM Punk.
It's the only UFC fight I've watched all year. I mean, I did it, not legally, but it was the only one I watched all year because it was Punk. And I tell you what, as soon as that music hit, the fans went crazy. But like I said, Anthony, and you get what I mean by this, he needs to be all in.
Yeah, I get you.
You know what I mean by that, and we'll see.
We'll see. I think it's only a matter of time before he turns. I don't think he'll go to. I think he'll do some kind of wrestling thing again because that's it for mixed martial arts.
I think eventually he'll be back in WWE. I really do.
We'll see.
Say. I mean, there are reports that say that him and Vince talk. Every once in a while. I think all that shit is patched. Some people are saying all that crap was a publicity stunt to get both of them. I mean, we don't know. We don't know if that shit on Colt Cabana and all.
You never know what anything
was all staged. We don't know that. He did win the lawsuit, though.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Speaking of WWE and UFC, Ronda Rousey is going into the UFC Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
She actually just had a title match in WWE, which I tell you what, Anthony, did you get to watch that match yet?
I did. She's definitely seeming like she's coming into her own there in WWE.
For just doing this for less than a month, less than a year, Rousey looks pretty damn good in the ring. I know it's fake and all, but sometimes some people that do the transition, they look horrible, but she's doing pretty good. It's scripted, but she's looking pretty good though.
Yeah, I mean she's a natural athlete. Yeah. I mean we all know she's
she has more of a moveset than Brock Lesnar. Let's just put it that way.
I like Brock Lesnar though.
I hope Brock Lesnar goes to UFC, and I hope he stays far away.
I think he will.
They're saying he's done after August, so they're talking about the super fight between him and John Jones. So we'll see what happens there.
I mean, he's had health issues though. I mean, you can't knock a guy who had health issues.
And then who's the other? Who's the UFC woman who's the champion right now in NXT? What's her name? One of the original Four Horsemen.
Oh, Shayna Baszler?
Yeah, she's the NXT Women's Champion, which is like their third brand. So, I mean, it's like NXT stars. I mean, now UFC people are going over and they're competing and doing good because of the wrestling. I guess you could say wrestling background helps a lot. It does.
And yeah, transitioning from UFC to that, yeah, it's just
I think
learning
the only
the
thing
show business
they gotta
side of
worry
it.
about
It's
is
just
not throwing
exactly.
just not throwing real punches and hurting
Yeah,
someone.
and I think that's why it's so easy for them to take like some of the moves, like Rousey, because she's used to actually getting, punched in the face or kicked, So like when they're throwing her off her shoulders, she's gonna be like, yeah, I can make this look, presentable
It's
here.
funny for Brock.
Mhm.
You saw it, Chris. I know you don't watch WWE anymore. A wrestler gave Brock an actual knee to the stomach, and we know Brock has that stomach issue that he had, which took him out. And he started doing UFC legit wailing on the guy for giving him a straight knee. So it's also those UFC guys in wrestling, don't fuck up a move because they'll wail you with some actual punches. I mean, we've seen him bust open 2 guys now with those elbows he does.
With the elbows, yeah.
So that's really I think that's all we got to cover. I mean, the U.S. Open last week was a damn travesty. It was, or tragedy. It was
Bad
fucking
weather
horrible.
conditions, man.
Wasn't bad.
Bad
I mean,
weather
the USG
conditions.
let that course go, and Phil Mickelson, I think, had the highlight of the. Paul, did you see what he did?
Nope.
So Phil went to go putt the ball, and he missed the hole, and he realized as soon as it went by, that ball was going off the green. So he ran, hit the ball back up the hill before it finished. Now, it's a 2-stroke penalty when that happens. He finished out the hole, laughing with the guy. He apologized, but people just destroyed him, saying he should have been DQ. It was unprofessional. Look, every pro golfer said they hated the course. They said the USGA lost the course.
Yeah.
It was in horrible conditions.
Wow.
And Phil's like, you know what? He's like, I'd rather do that than go back down the hill and putt it 4 more times up.
Yeah, it's true.
And then
He said
Phil, he
himself
came out and he apologized. I don't think you have to apologize for that. You know what? You did it. It's over with. You took the 2-stroke penalty. Oh, well, it was the funniest thing of the whole year. Just to see him just run around and putt it right back up before it ran down the hill. The golfer that was his partner was laughing with him. They laughed about it, and he was over with it. I mean, the PGA professional shot a 92.
Who did?
Some amateur shot a 92, and then like
92.
McElroy shot like an 80. Tiger shot a 78. So I mean, yeah, the course is difficult, but it shouldn't be that difficult where one of the top 10 players in the world in McElroy is shooting an 80. That's when you know something's going on with this course.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the greens were just. I mean, if you didn't get it within 2 feet of the hole, see ya, goodbye.
Really?
Have fun 3-putting. It was crazy. They looked like me. They looked like Paul was out there hacking it up at Laytonsville.
Oh God.
Yeah. I'm not kidding.
So-
I can't say anything against that.
I guess it's time for the big announcement that we have about Shite Sports Talk. Anthony,
I was
Chris?
gonna say, look, I haven't been on in a couple of weeks. Did we talk about the French Open at all?
What's that? Is that a sport?
First
There
of
we
all,
go.
congratulations to Rafael Nadal. I think he's won the most French Open titles in the history. Actually, he's already won the most French Open titles, but has won the most single titles from the specific major.
Don't be disrespectful.
Yeah, imagine if I did that with freaking Tiger Woods or something. Anyways, congratulations to Rafael Nadal and Simona
Congrats to
Halep.
him.
Uh,
Congrats to him.
He's a legend. He's gonna be put down as one of the best of all time,
If
greatest
not
of all
the
time.
best.
Yeah.
I
Without a doubt,
always
the
loved
best.
John McEnroe, especially when he was with Adam Sandler on Big Daddy. They were
That
jumping
was
over
a good
taxi
movie,
cabs.
actually.
Mr. Deeds. Mr. Deeds.
Mr. Deeds.
That was
They
a
were
great
jumping
movie.
over taxi cabs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations to them, because that's just an incredible feat. I think it's 12 French Open titles.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's unreal. It really is. When it comes to sports, he's definitely one of the most decorated in any sport. So
God
and
for
forbid
sure.
God forbid a Lance Armstrong happens and they come out and he was taking all this stuff the whole time.
Now, Roger Federer actually skipped the French Open
For what?
because he skipped it because he's getting old, and he figured why waste the games that he's going to play at the French Open if he's going to lose to Rafael Nadal anyway.
That's true.
So he skipped it and put all his eggs in the Wimbledon basket, which
Are
is
there any
coming up.
good American males that to like challenge for like a major?
No.
No, not
No.
since Roddick made it that one Wimbledon.
Roddick
and then-
was probably the best, and even he was, not that great.
So,
He was good.
so basically the last
get me wrong, he
two
was
good
good,
American male
but-
tennis players we had were Pete and Andre.
Hmm.
At least we got Serena and Venus.
Yep.
And I know you talked about the U.S. Open, but did you mention that Brooks is the first person to win back-to-back U.S. Opens since Curtis
Yes.
Strange did it,
I didn't
like
forgot to
over
mention that,
30
yeah.
plus years ago?
Yeah, back
Wow.
to back, and that's with DJ Dustin Johnson was leading all 3 rounds and then just lost it the last day. And I love Dustin Johnson. He's a pretty cool. He's a fucking bombs the ball like 350, 360. He bombs at 100 more yards than me. Jeez. So I think that's going to do with the sports talk. I guess we have a big announcement. Paul, Anthony, Chris, I guess we should go ahead and just do it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You have no idea. Yeah, you do.
Not one.
I know Anthony does. Anthony put the big hint out on his Facebook. What was it? 2 weeks ago?
I think so, yeah.
So, episode 100 will be the last episode of the Shipe Sports Talk show. This is it for Shipe Sports Talk. This is it. We've had a good run. But, as all good things come to an end, new things rise from the ashes. And
like a phoenix.
I'm going to let one of my co-hosts here take the reins. And Anthony, I'm going to give you the floor on what is rising from the ashes.
Do we really want to just let them know right here about everything, or are we going to hold it?
Just tease it. I would tease it.
Tease it.
Yeah,
tease
why
it.
not?
I mean, let them
All right,
know what it
I'll
is,
just
but
tease it.
Just tease a little bit, you know.
Episode 100 ends tonight, like you said. The Shipe Sports Talk is over, but the future starts next week, and I'll leave it at that.
TFS. That's all I'm going to say.
That's right.
TFS is all
What was
I'm
it?
saying.
Total frontal something?
Oh, jeez. But as he said, the future starts now. So don't worry. You're going to see these faces again. We'll just have a big surprise for you in 2 weeks because Paul's going on the Outer Banks next week.
That's right, I am.
So 2 weeks.
Nice.
2 weeks is a big surprise.
2 weeks. So first week of July, we'll be back.
So our fans, stay tuned. You'll hear the big announcement next week. You'll see it next week. But this is it for the Shipe Sports Talk. We've had a great 100 episodes. Was it 2.5 years, I guess? 3, 2?
Yeah, it's been a while.
2.5 years. A lot of, went through a couple co-hosts, a couple big-time guests. And, I think it was the right time to move on and bring on something else. My contract was not renewed. I wanted $3 million. They only want to give me 1.5. So they buried chopped me is what they did.
Oh my god!
Damn Teddy boy. So
Chris, you got your 4, right?
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
my
I
4
did.
million. Yeah, I think we all did, right? For the new one.
We did.
What?
Yeah.
I did
What
what?
about you?
Yeah, I'm done. But it's been a good 4 years. I mean 4 years. Why did I say 4 years? It's been
4
a good
million.
2.5 years. Like I said, Anthony and Chris, I want to thank you guys for coming along. I know I didn't have you guys straight up, but Anthony, I think when I first started the show, I didn't really didn't know you. I think
We didn't even know each other.
I think we did, but it was just through a Madden type of gameplay.
Power of esports.
Yeah, power. Yeah, pretty much esports and Xbox. Met him through a friend. Friend.
Your
Went on
friend.
from there, and I started kicking their ass in Madden, and they said,
Uh-oh.
"Shit, we can't be doing leads anymore with Matt."
Here we go. He's kind of leaving on a positive note that we're starting something new here.
But no. Anthony, I'm happy he finally came along. Chris, known Chris forever, so it was awesome to get him on. Paul, as my uncle, was great for what you did for Shipe Sports Talk.
Yeah, it was
Get a little
fun.
emotional.
Yeah,
Right,
it was. I remember when we first came up with the idea.
You just told me to sit there and just record something. We started the first 2 episodes wasn't even video; it was just thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, with this new thing, we can get back to the iTunes and stuff.
You want to do the podcast stuff? I mean, the actual podcast.
Why don't we do?
Like on
Whatever
iTunes
happened to
and
your
everything?
what happened to your like Madden videos? I remember you had recorded like a
I
Madden
did
like
one video
tutorial.
and that was it. I think it was.
Yeah.
Me and Paul will eventually get back
Fire
to.
Chi Dragon or something
Yeah,
like that.
Flame and Cheese.
Yeah.
We'll
Flame
try
and Cheese
something. I was
Dragon.
gonna try to do like MLB videos. I got through one and I was like, it's so much work, especially when you have like a full-time job. Like those people that stream and stuff, I don't think they have full-time jobs. That is their full-time
No,
job.
that is their full-time job.
Like when you.
I think with the new show, did we say it's a new show?
Uh-huh.
Okay, with the new show, I think.
No,
we say it.
We didn't.
Oh shit.
Oh well.
No,
but
we
I
do.
mean, but you alluded to it, so I mean, it doesn't
Something news in the brewing.
It doesn't take much to kind of come up with that. Anyway, but I think we'll be able to work that in as part of the new
Get the iTunes back
whatever's
up.
coming up. So iTunes, like even the streaming content or whatever. If you guys do it, Chris and Anthony and Matt, we could all kind of put it together.
Well, I try to stream on Xbox, but Anthony never wants to put his voice on, and he has the best reactions out of anyone on Xbox.
Yeah, that's why I'm keeping my I stay quiet. I just mute my mic when I'm getting upset.
Anthony, oh God, it's so hard because like I get upset, Anthony, all our other friends, Bojo, and you got to mute the mic because you can't laugh because then they get even more pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like being laughed at when you're angry, so.
I'm sure there's a few times that I've lost my shit, and Anthony has probably muted his mic and laughed.
Yeah, try to give some respect so I don't laugh at you.
I started muting my mic a little bit more because I knew Anthony was starting, especially during Madden. I was like, I got to mute my mic or I'm gonna just. Anthony's gonna.
Especially when you're playing against the person and then they're laughing when they're beating you, like it's just even more aggravating. So it's like you're just taunting me at this point.
That's the funny part.
I haven't played Madden in so long.
There was one time, since the last, we're just talking out of our ass.
That's the stream goal right there.
It was one time I was playing against Anthony and we were in separate parties, and I was like winning, and I did like a fake run, and I threw it to my fullback, and I ran directly out of bounds. Anthony texted me. He said, "If you would have taken that all away, I would have blew up my shit."
James in the chat said you guys are whining, and because Josh works full time and he still streams and he still gets paid to stream.
Bam.
Mm-hmm. He didn't really say you were whining. I threw that in there.
Maybe Josh doesn't have a social life. I don't know. But I mean, I remember Anthony during that. I went back in the party with him, and he was like, "Dude, if you had ran that for a touchdown when you were already up,
that would have been it, bro. I would have shut the Xbox off. That would have been it for the night."
That would have been it for our friendship, I think.
Yeah. I just want to do one quick shout out before we get out of here. I see the music playing one more time. I just want to give a shout out. I told him I'd mention it. Obviously, Caesar, it's his birthday tomorrow, so I want to say happy birthday. I know you're a little upset right now because Peru, unfortunately, will not be able to advance to the next round in the World Cup.
That was tough.
But happy birthday to you, man. I know it's tomorrow, but I hope you enjoy it. And it's been a pleasure doing these bunch of 100 episodes that I've done with you so far, and I look forward to the next 100 plus that we do together.
Speaking of the World Cup, my bracket right now, just do that.
That's it.
With all my 1 and 2 seeds, just do that. But
I think pretty much
to all our
everybody's.
fans, especially my baseball team for the last 4 or 5 episodes. They came in the group and in the chat and was just dogging on me and everything. Caesar, James, who's been a loyal listener.
Yep.
I know
David, Curly,
we haven't seen
Zach.
him in a while. Vinny. Haven't seen Vinny in a while. Also, speaking of podcasts, what's going on with we gotta get OT3 back going again.
We're gonna work on that in the future. We'll figure something out.
Need to reboot that.
Yeah, it's been a while. Golly.
It has. Just like Matt said, though, thanks to everyone that's shared our videos, liked our videos, commented with us. Even if you agreed with us while we're talking about something, thank you for any kind of input you guys give us. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you enjoy this next step that we take in our podcast here.
Oh, real quick, one final little heartbeat for Shipe Sports Talk. Brad, he has a former co-host, has his own BCAM Sports Jam. We're trying to work out a golf tournament called the BCAM Shipe Sports Golf Tournament for the summer, like a little golf outing.
I'm down.
Interesting. Okay.
So Anthony will have to come up for that golf tournament.
I don't golf, but I will
matter,
drive the golf cart for you.
Dude, you can play golf and just drink and you'll have a good time. You don't even need to be good.
All right. Whatever, that's fine.
The golf course I work at, do you guys
once.
watch Dude's Perfect?
No, I've never heard of it.
The golf
Well, I
course
remember
I
you
work
told me
at,
about.
once a month they do the all sports battle where you play like 9 holes and you have you can use a football, lacrosse stick, soccer ball, and you do all that stuff.
Yep.
All
That
right,
looks dope.
Okay, so I'll end on that. Once again, thank you, Paul, Anthony, Chris, guys, for 100. It was awesome. Paul, the biggest Saints, I think. I speak for myself. Anthony and Chris.
You speak for all of us.
For all of us,
100%.
all that you've done, dealing with us every week. I know you got your own plate with kids and wife and your own podcast.
It's fun, man.
Own job, yeah.
I think you can also, in 2 weeks, I think I'll be back on Crazy Talk. I think we're going to do another cross episode because we got to talk about some funny things that happened in my life.
That's right.
And I'm going to bring up a little funny thing about to happen in your life. Maybe we'll tell Chris and Anthony off the air.
Yeah, okay.
So, for the last time for Shipe Sports Talk, thank you everyone for listening. The Facebook page will still be up, but like I said, there'll be some major changes to that. Some new emails will be coming out, maybe a new Twitter. You never know what's going on. The future, as Anthony says, the future starts now. So for one last time, for myself, Paul.
Man, SST is now trending on Twitter.
I wish.
Just kidding.
Maybe the new one will. Maybe we'll get something new to stream on Twitter. But
That's too funny.
Anthony, Chris, Paul, myself, once again, thank you very much for sticking around for 100 episodes. And 2 weeks, just be prepared in 2 weeks. So have a good night, everyone. So long. We love you guys. Thank you for being fans with us for 100 episodes.
Woohoo!
Yep.
Good job.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, everyone. It's been fun. We'll talk to you soon.
2 weeks.